you guys came over to my place and we watched the championship games on Sunday. And so we got to see, first we saw a we'll call it a defensive struggle. How about that? Instead of calling it a snooze fest, let's call it a defensive struggle between the Patriots and the Broncos. The Patriots end up winning that game. And then the nightcap was the Rams and the Seahawks, which was decidedly not a defensive struggle. That was a very high scoring game. The Seahawks end up coming out of that one. And I want to go hold my head underwater till the bubbles stop coming, because that was, oh my God, this is my nightmare. I'm cheering for the Meteor because as a Niners fan, having this, as the Niners fan, where the Niners stadium is hosting the Super Bowl, you have on one side the rival, the Seahawks, playing for a Super Bowl in my stadium. That does not feel good. And then on the other side, you have the Patriots, who just ended their dynasty. You know, their dynasty just ended 6 years ago, right? It was over. The dynasty was over. It just ended, and they're back in the Super Bowl, and that doesn't feel good either. They had six. The Niners were the first team to get 5 Super Bowls. They're still stuck at 5. The Steelers now have 6. The Patriots have 6. The Cowboys tied the Niners for 5 the year after the Niners got 5. So you know, what was for the briefest of moments, you know, alone at the top, now is a very crowded room full of other teams with, you know, a whole lot of championship rings, you know. So it's been a long time, and the Niners have had 3 different shots at getting number 6. So it does not feel great to have the Patriots going for number 7 to put themselves further in front of me. So either the Patriots push themselves further out and make it harder to catch them, or the Seahawks get no ring. I don't like that at all.
I'm kind of rooting for the Seahawks, but I'm just telling you.
I understand that.
The Patriots.
No, and I get that, and I understand that, and I don't like it. Oh man, let's go Meteor. I don't know, man. This sucks. I don't like it at all. Why couldn't the Bears have another fourth quarter comeback in the divisional round? Why couldn't they finish the job against the Rams? Because then I could have at least had a rooting interest in the NFC title game, you know? Oh, damn it. Okay, so anybody else want to jump in on these games?
Seattle.
Seattle looked great. They really did, man. Seattle looked phenomenal. Except for that taunting penalty. Oh my God. He almost cost him the game.
Well, I mean, there's 2 things. I mean, yeah, that could have cost the game, but even the Rams, that muff punt, or return. I mean, if he doesn't muff that, you know, I think the Rams are up by 4, and then they go on to win that game. So I think that was a deciding factor in the whole game. Ultimately, more than the taunting. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so that drive was over. Yeah, that drive was over though. Yeah. Anyway, the Patriots game.
Yeah, the Patriots game. I mean, you can't. I think that game, you write that off, right? Like if I'm the Seahawks, I'm not watching any of that game tape, just because nobody could see. It was a defensive slugfest, but it did tell you how good, you know, each team held up defensively. I mean, they could have easily keeled over on one end or the other, just letting the run game do its thing. So
I think the first half is valuable. I think the first half tape is valuable before the snow took over.
Yeah, I still think that the Patriots defense is real, but so are the Seahawks defense. Like, that defense is, like, I say what you want about the Rams, but every time they've seen the Rams, it's been a high scoring game, right? So other than that, their defense has been pretty locked in. So it boils down to, I think, in my opinion, who's going to make the least amount of mistakes when it comes to the Super Bowl. So, and that team's going to win. So who's more disciplined?
That's the question.
Mm-hmm.
Tell you what, because I don't want either team to win, it's going to let me be able to give the most, like a fairly unbiased opinion about what I think will actually happen. And I'm not going to do that right now because I'm still angry, but I can probably do it next week. But also like for our little pick'em game that we have. So based on what happened, Sam, you had the Patriots and the Rams. Both Tyler and I had the Patriots and the Seahawks. So you got one right, Sam. Me and Tyler got two right. That means Tyler is leading the way with 27 points. I have 26 points. Sam, you have 23 points. The Super Bowl is worth 8 points. So we don't have to make our picks this week. We are all within 8 points of each other. So it is going to come down to the Super Bowl pick. That being said, that's, we're right there. The pick 'em is going to be right there. That being said, I will pick whatever you don't pick, Tyler, just for the record, just for the pick 'em game. I'm going to pick whatever you don't pick. Just for the purposes of our little game. That being said, I'm not
Patriots.
Yeah. What?
That means you're going to side with the Patriots.
Unfortunately, I'm going to, for our pick'em game, that's probably what's going to end up happening just for a chance at winning this little silly little game that we have going that we don't really have anything for real on, Anyway.
It's like, whose line is it anyway?
Yeah.
Points don't matter. It's all.
Yeah. The points literally don't matter. We'll revisit that and make official picks next week. You don't have to actually worry about that just yet. As far as around the league goes, though, we do have some coaching news. Mike McCarthy is your new head coach for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I guess Pittsburgh, didn't want to make too much changes, so instead they got rid of a guy named Mike who last was in the Super Bowl in 2011 and hasn't won a meaningful playoff game since then, and hired him with a guy named Mike who was last in the Super Bowl in 2011 and hasn't won a meaningful playoff game since then.
Against I think that Super Bowl was the Cowboys and
that's exactly that. No, it was the Packers.
Packers. That's right. Packers and
Steelers.
Right.
That was the joke. They played each other. That was the joke.
Oh boy. He's the oldest Steelers coach to be hired in 70 years. So that's he's not gonna last 17 years. This is gonna be the shortest hire that the Steelers have made in a long, long time, because you had Chuck Noll for freaking 3 decades, and then you had freaking what's his name who's on CBS now. Bill Cowher, and then there you go. You had Mac Tomlin. You basically have had 3 guys that have coached the Steelers for the last 50 years. 60 years almost, I think at this point, 60 years almost, so this guy's not going to last the 15 years or whatever the last average has been for the last 2 guys. So he's even if he has a successful run, whatever that may be, it's not going to be that long. Like but on the outside, he's going to last about 10. If he's wildly successful, which I don't think he will be, I think he's probably going to flame out in about 4 years or so. What's going to happen this first year, the offense is probably going to look a lot better. They're probably going to win a couple more games. They're going to finish 10, 11 wins maybe if they get a quarterback. If they get a quarterback, that's the thing. They have to have a quarterback of some kind, because Aaron's not going to do it. Aaron's not coming back to play for Mike McCarthy. I mean,
that's the other thing.
I wouldn't rule it out. Yeah,
I am ruling it out. I think that that's not happening.
Well, I think it's not happening, but I'm not going to rule it out yet, just because Mike McCarthy did have Aaron Rodgers with Green Bay. So I'm not going to rule it out just yet. But man, I also think that there's a good chance that the 49ers could be shopping their backup quarterback if they can get the right price for it too. You know what I mean? So you never know. There could be a lot of movements from here and on out. But you know what? It hasn't been happening. The Raiders haven't had a new head coach yet, and the Eagles still can't find an OC. And I don't know what's going on. I couldn't tell you.
I don't know.
Man, Tim, cue the Raiders shit. Just to talk about this real quick is I thought, last week we were talking about it a little bit, and I was saying that Davis Webb is probably a guy that they were considering. And Sean Payton was in the media the past couple of days kind of talking crap about the Raiders. So he has this weird beef with the Raiders between him and Al Davis, and Bill Parcells told him back in the day, don't take the job. So then the year later, that's when Sean Payton ends up with the Saints. So this dates back 20 plus years, and there's just this weird hatred that Sean Payton has for the Raiders. But anyway, so Davis Webb has interviewed for a second time with the Raiders, but then Denver has fired their offensive coordinator, which suggests to me that they're promoting Davis Webb, and we're going to give you a big fat pay raise to not go to the Raiders. So I'm thinking that he's probably going to stay with Denver because he'll probably have an opportunity to actually install game plans and be better prepared as an offensive coordinator and maybe get a job next year. It's a little nerve-wracking right now because you can't hire anybody that you may have targeted on a Super Bowl team because you can't hire them until after the Super Bowl, which means this could get drawn out for another 2 weeks. If you're trying to go all in on Kubiak, and the Seahawks could say, we'll make you the highest paid offensive coordinator. And he can stay there for another year and run it back and maybe go for a repeat if they were to win. So I guess my overall anxiety is, going into this coaching search, Clay Kubiak was kind of like the big fish, the number one name that, as far as like a young guy that people want. And if you don't get him, I feel like anything less feels like a letdown from like an optic standpoint, because all the reports were that the Raiders are going hard at Davis Webb because he's this young quarterback guru coaching genius, and he's the next young prodigy, and it sounds like you're going to miss out on him. And then you got the offensive coordinator that's now in the Super Bowl, and maybe you miss out on him. And now like you're left with what? Vance Joseph, Cliff Kingsbury, and like, I'm not saying that those are bad head coaches. They could very well be very good hires. I'm just saying from an optics, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't look good. And it's starting to feel like this whole thing about, Tom Brady's pool, the gravitas is bullshit. So, but I'll say that, this is the narrative that the Raiders have to overcome, because they've had, right or wrong, it doesn't matter. The facts are the facts, that they have an itchy trigger finger that, if there's no success, they fire a guy. No success, fire a guy. And there's been so many atomic bombs that have just blown up in the Raiders' face. So like this has been going on for 20 years. They've tried to get it right. So they give John Gruden the $100 million, and then the emails come out and Henry Ruggs and Antonio Brown situation. And then you probably should have hired Rich Bisaccia, and you missed that. So then you hire Josh McDaniels, and he was right. At his press conference, he said the number one thing with the Raiders is that they've been so unstable, and we're here to try to provide some stability. And they said they had a plan. You bring in Devontae Adams, you mishandled Derek Carr, and that's a complete train wreck. That blows up in your face. And then you move on to Antonio Pierce because we need a leader of men. And then that blows up in your face.
Don't forget Chandler Jones.
And then the Chandler Jones situation, and it's just, then you move on to Pete Carroll because we need an adult in the room, and that blows up in your face. And I think like now that we know what happened with Pete Carroll, that we now know that he didn't really hire Chip Kelly. He didn't really hire anybody on the offensive side of the ball other than his sons, So I think, if you're going to hire a coach, no matter who the coach is, you got to let them pick who they work with. That's just basic. So I think, that's why so many Raider insiders and former players who talk about this I get it. They were a terrible team last season under Pete Carroll, but this is what they talked about is you're going to have another one and done. And, even though it didn't come out how you wanted it, were you better off letting Pete Carroll hire his coach, hire his OC, hire his DC, pick the ingredients, right? And let it ride. Is that a better option? Because the optics is like, no matter what, if you don't get it done in year 1 or year 2, you're fired. And these coaches talk, like all of these coaches, it's a fraternity. We hear that all the time, that there's a players fraternity and then there's the coaching fraternity. So all of these coaches talk. You think Pete Carroll ain't talking to coaches about what went wrong? You think Antonio Pierce ain't talking? All of these guys at some point are talking to other coaches, and you don't have a leg to stand on, Raider front office or ownership. You did this to yourself. Like, it's been 20 years of piss poor management, and it's going to take a lot to overcome it. And of course I want to win. Of course I want to have a good football team, but you can't deny that all of these things have blown up in your face. Even though they may have sound like good plans and good ideas, it didn't work. It did not work. And now you're here, and now, you have an opportunity to get a coach. You have opportunity to with the number 1 overall pick. You got all this salary cap room. But you need to have the right guy. And it just seems like, for whatever reason, I'm starting to get a little bit of anxiety because there hasn't been a coaching announcement. And we haven't heard, as of the time of this recording or me checking my phone and Reddit and Twitter and all this, I haven't heard of a second interview with Kubiak or any progress with what's going on with Davis Webb or any other coaches. So my only hope is they have some type of gentleman's agreement, handshake deal with Kubiak, that, after the Super Bowl, we're going to announce it, per NFL rules. But it is a little concerning that this isn't done. And, it's the 3 last jobs that are out there are the Raiders, the Cardinals, and the Browns. So
the 3 most dysfunctional franchises in the league right now.
Exactly.
Well, that's not fair to the Jets. 3 out of the 4. And the only reason the Jets isn't dysfunctional right now is because they, for some reason, decided to be even more dysfunctional by keeping the terrible head coach.
Aaron Glenn just cleared house for them right now. So everyone's getting fired in the Jets roster.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's going to be dysfunctional whether they kept him or fired him. So, dysfunction through chaos either way. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in a similar situation that I think is kind of mind-boggling to me, but the Eagles haven't been able to land a OC. Brian Daboll looks like he's going to take the Titans OC job if he can't get a head coaching gig anywhere else. We were looking at possibly McDaniels, and he takes the OC job to go be with Harbaugh. So that was probably, definitely Daniels was your number one, I think. But I don't think the Eagles wanted that. I think if you look at it, Daniels is probably going to be a head coach again following next season, So I think that's probably one of the things that the Eagles want is that whoever they get, they need at least a minimum of 2 years, right? So, and I think, unfortunately, if you're going to coach and you're a good OC and you're going to coach this Eagles team, you're probably going to get a head coaching gig immediately following afterwards, unless you blunder it like the last 2 out of the 4 did. But I mean, look at Shane Steichen and look at Kellen Moore, and say what you want about Kellen Moore and the Saints. That team went from being dead last in almost every category offensively to, middle of the pack with what they had. So,
I mean, depending on what the Saints do with the draft and free agency, they ended the year strong, and it feels like they have something in that quarterback and that coach, right? It feels like something good. So you're going into next season, you're like, hey, they may not be a 14-win team, but they could be a 9-10 win team if you could see the foundation.
There's a non-0% of me that wanted them to just make the Saints the playoff team from the NFC South, just because they're at least fun to watch,
Right.
Like just screw the regular standings. Like I would have rather watched the Saints in the playoffs than the Panthers or anybody else, because they were at least fun and they were at least playing well at the end of the year, instead of everybody else just kind of going ass first into the playoffs.
And that's with a young team like that. They were in salary cap hell. They got through it. They got through that gauntlet, and they were improving. So you feel good. So, and that's what the Raiders. That's the blueprint that the Raiders need to be on. Is you need to have a coach. You're going to have most likely the young quarterback. Can you be a fun 6-7 win team that's improving, right? That feels good. You spent your money well, and then it's that second year where you're like, hey, man, if we get another free agent and a really good draft, we could be a 10-11 win team. Do you see the foundation? And that's what I'm looking for as a Raider fan, because I've been saying this for years and years and years. You got to learn how to walk before you run. And with every plan we have ever had as a Raider team, it is blown up. It is blown up. And, remember that movie, Nope, where he says, are there such things as bad miracles? I have never seen. This is a bad miracle about how freaking bad this team has been. It's going on a quarter century, guys. 2 playoff appearances in a quarter century. Like, that is shameful. And I know Mark Davis gets shit for it, and rightfully so. But it's just every plan is just blown up. Even the Bengals fall into Joe Burrow in a couple of playoff appearances, and appearances in some AFC championship games and a playoff win here and
there.
They
got to a Super Bowl against the Rams.
You can't even freaking accidentally make a mistake and end up there. Even the Bears ended up in the Super Bowl with Rex Grossman. I don't even have that. And then you get these fucking Patriot fans that they're back in there. They just have won a bunch. I hate them.
There's your.
I think we found our clip of the week.
There's your clip, Tim. There's your clip right there.
Oh man.
Oh Jesus. Okay.
It's okay to laugh on my pain.
Oh man. Okay. So just other coaching hires that have happened since we last talked. Joe Brady got hired this morning. He's being promoted from offensive coordinator in Buffalo to head coach in Buffalo. Jesse Minter is going to be the head coach in Baltimore. Jeff Hafley is going to Miami.
What?
Yeah. Sure. I don't know how that's an improvement, but okay.